Hello, and welcome to another episode of DC Alliance with myself and my co-host, as always, Clay. Clay, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing pretty good now. There was a schedule change today. We are going live a little bit early, which is not a problem, but it is for a special occasion.
Yes.
Marvel Alliance is about to get hit with some really big news, and we want to give them the spotlight for when it happens. So we decided to go early. I think we're about to have a little bit of a crossover because I know you've been waiting in that green room for quite some time
Yes,
for
yes,
that
I'm
to
still
happen.
there. I'm still there technically.
So,
I have another thing, another tab open up, and I'm in the green room of that other broadcast waiting and waiting because I've been waiting for this trailer for so long. I've talked to Chris and Brent about it. I said to Chris, I would if I was on vacation or out somewhere with my girlfriend, I would just go on my phone and immediately go on Marvel Alliance because I'm waiting for this trailer. It's crazy. I can't wait for it. I know you're excited about it as well.
oh yeah,
Myself
like
and you may have seen
I
something. I
brought
don't know about it,
along
but
I brought along my little cup here, my Spider-Man cup. Um, I spiked some Kool-Aid because I've had a long day of work, and I almost died in the shower right before we started recording. But at least we're all going to be able to hang out, which is very rare. Mostly for Marvel and DC to have a genuine crossover to talk some stuff. So really excited about that. But so that way we don't waste time, how about we go through some of the GUA network plugs? And this is your week, Travis. So let's see how
yes,
many times you trip up.
I think I got this. Doing two shows a week really help. I'd like to flex that every once in a while. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with podcasts 6 days a week, 8 in total. On Mondays is World's Finest True Believers with Chris Balga. That rotates bi-weekly with Ranger Alliance with Clay and rotating guest hosts, including Jake, Joe, and Tony. On Tuesdays is this show, DC Alliance, with myself and Clay. On Wednesdays is superhero discussions with, right now, myself. I'm doing the Justice League, well, the new 52 animated movies. Last week was Justice League War. This week, Throne of Atlantis. Don't worry, though, folks. Rick and Morty comes back for a 1 hour finale, which will be covered for sure. It may even be a live episode of superhero discussions. They're very rare that that happens. On Thursdays is also two podcasts. A walk through the multiverse with Joe. That's a new show. He put out his second episode last week, which was very enjoyable for me. I thought that was quite funny. I have a laugh with Joe. Joe makes me laugh once or twice an episode, and uh, I gotta say, I'm impressed with how long he can go by himself, just like Mr. Snell when he does his solo casts. And that rotates bi-weekly with Star Wars Alliance with Katie, and for the last few times, you.
Yes. I don't know how I've become the temporary co-host for Star Wars. I mean, I do.
There's a podcast that needs a host. I mean, it's like the Batman GIF of Michael Keaton. You get up like that every time it's tweeted out. I need a co-host. You get up. I can
Yeah.
handle one more. I can
I
handle
mean,
one more.
I mean, to be fair, Nathan and Katie have, really turned me to the dark side and making me a giant Star Wars nerd that I don't think I ever would have been without them. So I thank them so much. I don't think my wallet can handle it much further, but we'll see how long it can last.
Chris, I don't know. Chris says Clay needs more podcasts, and I don't know about that because Clay was talking about how much work he had with 8, and then the next day I get up and there's a tweet from Clay looking to start 4 more podcasts. And I was just like,
No, 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 no,
okay,
no, no, no. I'm looking to listen to more podcasts,
okay.
not
I thought there
start
was
more
one start
podcasts.
4 more. I was like, dude, how can
No,
you
no,
do
no,
12?
no, 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 no. No. See, for me, I've realized that like I'm catching up way too early on podcasts because I listen at
Okay.
2.5 speed, and for me, whenever I like work in dead air, like dead space, like it just like it irks me. I
Yeah.
need something going on, and to be honest, I am not very well connected to the music of 2021, so it's not like I can just be like, oh, let me just put on this, like, because
Yeah.
I don't know anybody right now as far as music, and I'm starting to sound like my old man. But I do know podcasts and I know pop culture. So I was reaching out to see if there was any podcast that I wasn't following that maybe some of my followers would have been able to you know uh, tell me about. I will be completely honest. I was already subscribed to like 6 of them, and I'm just like, that's not helping me at all.
Oh my. So yeah, so that's Thursday. Friday is Marvel Alliance with Chris and Brent. And Sundays is Slice of Film, and that goes bi-weekly, and that's with Katie and guest host. Both Marvel Alliance and DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel. DC Alliance goes live normally at 9 Eastern time, but today is a special day, and Marvel Alliance normally goes live at 9:10 Eastern time. I just want to put that in there. uh, and that's all the things I think I got. Oh yeah, one more thing. DC Alliance and Marvel Alliance both have their own podcast feeds. You can find them by searching either DC Alliance or Marvel Alliance on your podcast app of choice. Also, we have a Patreon, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is a tip jar if you like what we're doing and just want to help us out. But the $5 tier is where you get your extras, your ad-free episodes, early access to episodes, and Patreon exclusive. I know myself and Chris did the Scoopers attack. That was pretty good. I know you guys got together and did a
We
recording
Yeah,
yesterday.
we did a recording about Substack, which is a website subscription service type thing. It's basically a Patreon for journalists, but they are taking a little corner of that and diving into the comics industry. Very, very interesting stuff. We gave some information about it, kind of all of what Substack is, what it can be, and if it's sufficient for what it wants to do. So if you want to learn more about that, go check out the Patreon.
Yeah, we're putting a lot more content on there in August, and there would have been a Last Ronin review as well, but Mr. Eastman put a stop to that. So I know there was a stat you shared in our chat, and there's no way I could pay
I have
$1,600. It looks glorious, but there's no way I could pay
I have been
$1,600.
watching the like build of that because I can't remember who exactly was building it, but they have a TikTok and they've been showing like the steps of like how they do it. And I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be so cool. I can't wait to see how much it's gonna cost. And then when Chris shared it, I'm like, yeah, no, don't think I'm gonna touch that. Nope. Not even my credit cards say yes. So
I'll,
no.
I'll I'll watch a YouTube video of someone unboxing it and just live vicariously through them. That's the only thing I can do right now. It's just too expensive. Okay, I think that's everything out of the way there.
Yep.
Yes, so we're going to hop into a little news and then take our ad break and get into the Superman and Lois review. And Clay brought both of these to my attention. They were in the chat yesterday, but it was going around like things have been fast. But Black Canary, we're getting a movie for HBO Max. Clay, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So HBO Max, well, it's really funny because we all started to see these little bits and pieces of rumors that there was going to be a Black Canary show on HBO Max. I think this has been kind of yelled at or talked about for so many months after, of course, Birds of Prey. It's only been, what, a year and a few months since that release has gone out. And surprisingly, there was an article that says, oh, by the way, Collider is confirming it. It's going to be an HBO Max original movie. And then everybody went nuts. Everybody was really excited about it. Then Journey Smollett herself said, oh, yeah, it's a thing. The canary is out of the bag. She confirmed it, but not only that, she did confirm that Misha Green is writing the script. She, of course, was the writer of Lovecraft Country. We all know that that was critically acclaimed and was nominated for so many awards before it was actually canceled. Now, I will say this: I'm going to go ahead and put my tinfoil hat here. Misha Green did tweet this out. She said, we're
Yeah.
just at the very beginning of a long journey to the screen, but obviously I can't turn down the chance to put the dam in the Black Dam Canary with Journey Smollett whispers. So I'm thinking something like, and she put a whole bunch of emojis here: a bird, a microphone, music notes, a karate suit, a tiger, a dragon, 2 women wrestling, and a green heart. So again, putting on my tinfoil hat here, this can mean so many different things. But more importantly, The way I thought about it is either there's two ways you can interpret that entire line of emojis. The first one is Tigress, which is a DC villain. The Black Dragon Society, which is not something I'm very familiar about, but it was more around the Silver Age of comics, going alongside the idea of where uh, the Black Canary's mother was from, kind of the inspiration of the JSA and all of that stuff, and then also Green Arrow. Now, Misha Green is doing the Tomb Raider movie with Alicia. Oh, that's cool. So I did not know that. I did not watch the
Thanks,
first Tomb
all in the
Raider.
game.
Yeah, all in the game in the YouTube chat. For all of you audio listeners, he did tell us that. That's really really awesome. But of course, and of course the canary, the music, the karate is saying Black Canary is a badass basically, and she's a singer. But the other ones, of course, I'm making a guess at Tigress, Black Dragon Society, and Green Arrow. Or you can interpret it this way. Of course, all the front is still Canary, but Bronze Tiger, Richard Dragon, and of course, Green Arrow.
So what you're
So,
saying is Green Arrow, regardless. No, I'm just kidding.
Green Arrow seems to be a constant, but I'm worried.
I don't want to see the actual Green Arrow. I would like to see even just a potential crossing paths of an Oliver Queen with her. But now, you don't even need to say that's who it is. You can do kind of like the Spider-Man, like Homecoming. Mysterio's walking by. You don't know it until you see it even
You mean
later. Like,
Far From Home?
yeah,
Not
sorry. Yeah,
Homecoming.
sorry.
But also, would you want it to be something like a Ted Cord in the CW where you only see Queen Industries?
Even that is fine as long as they focus. Like if you put in the story anything that have them running, meeting each other, I don't want to see Green Arrow at all. But I want this to be Black Canary's solo movie solely
Yes.
on Black Canary. Yes,
And I posted this in the GUA chat this morning. Screen Rant put an article that was like, "Oh, this is the perfect opportunity to put Harley Quinn in the movie and bring this character and this character." I really don't want that. And the reason why is I think Journey Smollett needs the limelight. She needs to have her spotlight, her time to shine. And not saying that she hasn't in other aspects of movies and shows that she's been on, but she has earned this. She needs to have her own solo movie. And I think putting her in the limelight, because again, the whole reason why they put Birds of Prey in the title of the Harley Quinn movie was because people were like, we can't really have a villain movie. So let's put Birds of Prey and kind of put Harley Quinn in it. But it's really a Harley Quinn story. Then
well,
they
we don't even
saw
need to. The title was the biggest, one of the biggest bamboozles of the whole.
well,
Like
and
one of
and
the
and
biggest
that was that
mistakes.
was that was the problem. They kept switching the title, and we all knew it was a Harley Quinn movie. So why didn't you just name it that? I don't need Harley Quinn to come and try to do whatever Harley Quinn does in the Black Canary movie.
Yeah,
That's me personally. I think that also having somebody like a Bronze Tiger and Richard Dragon in the movie could not like I'm not necessarily thinking that it'll be like this big thing of like, oh, uh men versus women type thing and be all misogynistic about it. No. I think having somebody like a Tigress would be better just because it's a not well-known character. We can build more of a universe in the DCEU. We've seen Bronze Tiger in the CW shows. Richard Dragon, people may know about him. He is a little bit of a like side character. Chris is saying she campaigned to show her respect for the character, and I agree. Uh, let him
let
really
her,
show.
let her
Let her really
really show.
show what she can do solo. Yeah, I totally agree.
Clay, what I think you could do easily is you can set it up so that she can come into connected stuff, but you can do this solo. What I would do really is connect her with the JSA and not even like really the JSA. just have her looking at her mother's past, like, and finding out that her mother was a member of the JSA, the original Black Canary, and maybe at the very end you might be able to connect to some sort of JSA that the Rock is doing. Like maybe you get the JSA at current
That would be pretty
time,
cool.
or but you, like, you know what I mean? Like I would rather it just focus on her finding her past and just I think you could do real, even her finding Wildcat and training more and learning more fighting styles. That would be pretty cool too. So there's so much potential here. You don't need to put any extra characters in like Harley Quinn, or you need to
Yeah,
have a
no,
couple good bad guys, but no extra people to take the limelight from her, even if that
and
means I'm not going to see Green
Green
Arrow.
Arrow. And I think for me, when it comes to the character of Green Arrow, I think if he is a like, hey, right before the credits, you see him, or maybe mid credit scene, or just a name on the television.
I can say one thing: if she has to rob something from Queen Industries, and maybe like she sees him and has a quick like chat with him, not like just him as Oliver Queen, maybe. But even that, uh, I think it's going too far. You don't need to do that. But he like that romance is a like that's just as like tight as like Barry and Iris, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
that's there's only like the Superman and Lois, which we'll talk about later, are kind of a couple of relationships that dwarf it really.
Chris is asking wig or no wig. I'm kind of confused as of who he is asking this for. Would it be for Journey, or is
Oh
he
yeah, Journey.
saying,
I think the
or
wig
is he
for Black
saying,
Canary, the blind wig.
um, that that is interesting. Um, I would say, because I think Dinah. Oh, okay. So I'm pretty sure. Are you saying no, no, no? See, I think you should just go with her natural hair, kind of like how she did a mixture in Birds of Prey. She, of course, had her hair with extensions, and then had uh, a little bit. I think it was just a ponytail extension at one point.
Yeah,
I think that they can work with traditional hairstyles for her. She is absolutely gorgeous, and making their own spin on her character, uh, as the character. Sorry, is the best way to go. I think.
I just want to hold off to listeners because you can go back through if you start on DCA chapter 1 and find several times where I talked and got super excited about New Gods. And we heard a lot about that being in development, Time King, Ava DuVernay, and nothing came of it. So I just want to tell people to pause a little bit when it comes to DC. Unfortunately, we always have to wait for them to be in actual production until we can believe that we're going to see these things.
Yes, but again, me and Chris did say this in the GUA chat that we're all in. With it being a Max original, I think it's a little bit safer to say. Unfortunately, there is the entire conversation of these movies being a quote unquote risk. And it's the conversation of uh Journey Smollett being Dinah, Leslie Grace being Batgirl, having a Blue Beetle and Static Shock. There's an elephant in the room, and we all see it. That, I think, unfortunately, gives WB and HBO Max like, oh yeah, just go do whatever. Like, why not? Like, they kind of see it in like almost a mocking way. I could see, but I genuinely think that these productions can be something really, really special, and kind
Oh,
of like
yeah.
shove them like right up their ass and be like, ha, like this is what we actually were able to do.
Well, Clay,
So
I think that because it is they I do think they have that attitude that you are saying, like the higher ups. But I think that's the best thing for these productions because they'll get to do things basically unmeddled because they don't think that they're going to be successes. They don't want to have much to do with them, right? So putting them on like that, I could see it as someone just looking like you don't have confidence in anything that's not Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman or Aquaman right now, anything that's not Justice League members right now, and even that, like you're not more confident in yourself marketing it because let's look at the Suicide Squad for example. That was in theaters, and but I know it's COVID, but I can understand it. I'd rather it be simultaneous release. Like if you're going to make a Max original, put it up on the big screen at the same time. Because the theaters know is already going to HBO Max anyway. HBO Max is not international, so you should put that out in theaters along with HBO Max. That's something that I don't think they're
Again,
thinking too far ahead, really, at all.
no, and I don't think they're allowed to. And
No.
I'll remind you, the Discovery deal is still in the works. We still have
Yeah.
a little less than a year to have that completely finalized, and then decisions can genuinely be made, and we know that they're set in stone, right? So I think the smartest way to treat these uh these Max originals, when all said and done, I think you could actually do something like Netflix does with their movies, a limited time release, kind of like a Fathom event on in theaters. So having these HBO Max movies for 2 weeks on the big screen would actually be really cool. I actually want to address Bat Daddy 52. Greg is actually in the chat. He did ask, it would be, well, he said it would be cool to see, but I want my intro to the big screen Arrow to be big screen Arrow. I completely understand the sentiment. I've toned down a little bit on the idea of like the I know a lot of people have the idea of it being like big screen elitist or theater elitist. For me personally, I'm in one of the hottest zones for COVID. Like, I am personally risking going to see Shang-Chi next week. I am not letting my wife do that. Like, I'm gonna say, she's already said no, I'm not going to, and I'm like, good, I wasn't gonna let you. But for her, these movies aren't as important, and she can always wait the 45 days. She's already said that. When it comes to these movies, because we have now seen that Simmons is coming back as Gordon, these things can still be connected to a greater DCEU. This Canary movie can be connected to a greater DCEU. So if you see him on the small screen as a cameo, as just a name, maybe something on the radio while she's driving, it can still leave an introduction to people who see it on the bigger screen. He also said, I don't necessarily mean actually big screen. I just mean first movie intro to be him, not have him as a side character. I think
Um,
that is something that for I think in general, like, are you going to call Nick Fury? You're going to call Samuel L. Jackson a side character?
he kind of is. He's not really a main character. He doesn't have. Well, he's having his. It depends on how much
He,
he has to do with Secret Wars and all that. He might have his own shows, and then I'll give it. But as of right now, he is a side character. Clay appears in cut scenes a little bit. Actually,
mm,
he no one movie. He's not a side character, and that is two movies: Avengers and Captain America: Winter Soldier. The other ones, he's basically a side character. But I want to address Greg's thing here about Green Arrow. After 8 seasons of a TV show about a Green Arrow, maybe not the interpretation you wanted, I don't think you're getting to see him solo for a long time comparative to any other
I
like
think
property that we haven't seen. So
I think that Canary and Green Arrow will be just like a Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, they are gonna be like the buddy cop, like just like Superman and Lois. They're going to be
yeah,
together always on screen. Um, I don't think we're gonna be getting a solo Green Arrow movie when he is finally introduced.
yeah.
And you're right. He had 8 years plus in the limelight with Arrow. And I think WB and HBO Max know this. Because of that, they know the character. The GA knows the character. And so they're like, hey, when it's time to put him on screen, we will. He also said, are we wanting a rated R Canary? If so, what elements do you want to make it rated R? I think that with it being in a Max original, they already play in a mature content area. Like, it's not necessarily has to be PG-13 or rated R or MA. It's kind of just like all over the place with HBO Max. I know that they have specifics, but it's just their content. That's what they deal with. I think it's really dependent on the story. Like, again, Birds of Prey, you didn't need it to be rated R. It was something that yeah, it can be a hard PG-13, which is what Birds of Prey and the Harley Quinn movie was really just a hard PG-13, to be
Well,
completely
that same thing
honest.
with Zack Snyder's Justice League. It had a couple F bombs in it that did not need to be rated R. It really didn't, Clay. Like there was no need of that being rated R. I love the movie. It's like one of my favorite DC movies. It could have been you could have eliminated those curse words, and it could have been a regular. You could have cut out even a little bit of blood if you needed to. But I still didn't think it was a rated R movie when I watched it. That's not the thing I thought when I watched that movie.
Yeah.
Whereas Suicide Squad or even Birds of Prey with the violence, the way that the bones shattered and the way that they kind of showed it, that was even more violent than what I saw in those other movies. So uh, I think I'm with Chris on there. I think you should make it just a solid PG, like a hard PG. You don't need to go any deeper unless, like you said, if the story really involves it. Depends on how like you're going back through her mother's past and like how gritty you want to get with that. Uh, I'd be interested. But yeah, I think until we hear more, I think is a really good nugget. It gets us excited, and I really hope this actually comes to fruition. I think we should just touch on the little last DC news topic before we move on to Superman and Lois, and that was Michael Keaton is in the news doing some press junkets for a new movie. Talked a little bit about Batman. Clay, what do you think about his comments? Didn't reveal much, but got a lot of people buzzing and a lot of clickbait stories going out there.
I think that like him as an actor with him being Batman really tells how most actors look at these roles, and it's hard to like listen to sometimes. All in the game says, "Don't let the Snyder Cut fans hear you say that, Travis."
Little
Well,
secret there on the game. I have over 1,000 people blocked on Twitter, and I promise you, a solid 65 to 70% of them are crazy Snyder Cut fans. I love those movies, but no, yeah, I love almost everything.
well, dealing with Keaton, like we've heard this over at the Star Wars Alliance as well, making comments about this Kenobi TV show on Disney Plus. They're like, "Oh, I know nothing about Star Wars, but I really love this whole character and like what it's about and doing all of this." And like people are like, "What? How do you not know anything about Star Wars?" Like people need to understand that these like fandoms, these movies, these comics, these video games, they're only big in our lives because we enjoy them. These people are getting paid to play these roles, and that's why they have to talk about them. Otherwise, they wouldn't watch, read, look, buy, or do anything with these characters. To be like, yes, there can be genuine fans. Like, I genuinely think that Ryan Reynolds has become a fan of Deadpool, and he's shown that before. Same thing with Kevin Feige. He is a fan of the content that he is creating. It's not just like, oh yeah, I work at Marvel, so I guess let's do it. Like, no, he's a fan.
No, well, you get the clout too of Hugh Jackman, who's retired from the role and doesn't need to say anything about you at all. Is saying, "Yeah, and that's it." Brian Singer's like, "We don't want to make this like comics at all," and Kevin Feige's here splitting them comics. Read this. This is what
Exactly.
it's based on.
Exactly. So when Keaton is out here saying like, oh well, I didn't necessarily know anything, about Batman other than the fact that I'm Batman. Like that's genuinely what he
Oh
was
yeah.
saying, and with some of these comments, and people are like all up in arms about it. It's like why? Like he's an actor. Like he's not Batman. He's an actor. Like
I,
Jesus.
I got two things from these comments. He thought it was really, really easy to get back into the role and the mindset of the character. And two, it took him 3 times to explain the movie to him before he understood it.
Yeah,
That's
and
it. That's the only two things I got from all his press junkets, and people are freaking out at. Are you kidding me?
Keaton, I'll just say this, Keaton. you probably understood the multiverse theory a lot more than WB does. So there's that, you know?
Like, it wouldn't be a DCA episode unless Clay got at least one shot in at WB.
I'm just saying.
30 minutes is a long time, though, Clay. Like, you've went a long time this week. I don't think you said anything in the Black Canary review discussion there.
I was holding my tongue.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, kind of the offhand comment about HBO Max saying, why not? Let's do this. But
Yeah.
still, Greg says that's right. Ben Affleck is Batman, elbow cough. And see, that's the biggest thing. So the whole thing with multiverse theory, the way the comics make it out to be and everything else, and technically you probably could do it with this, like today's technology, but if I am in another Earth, he's gonna have my same face, my same voice, my same eye color, and everything. The only thing that's different is he may have, 3 children and working the job of his life. Like,
Or he may side with his brother and destroy a whole city.
exactly, like all of these other different things here, right? But in the multiverse theory of WB, because we've seen it in the CW, like they have different faces. They are completely different people. And for a movie and TV shows, you kind of have to do that.
Well,
Now it gets
sometimes they're the same and sometimes they're different in the world of
exactly.
WB and
And
CW.
it can get very complicated at times when I don't think it should be complicated, you know? Like
No.
with today's technology, I genuinely think that you could make 2 Keatons and be like, look, they're 2 different people. Or like you can do 2 Ben Afflecks and be like, hey, they're 2 different people. One is on Earth, whatever, and the other is on
Well, The
Earth,
Flash
whatever.
does that. They did that really good when they did the Earth 2 episode, the first Earth 2 episode where they met another Barry who didn't have powers. Like he looked just like Barry. They just dressed him up a little different, put glasses on him, but essentially he was the same, same actor. So it can be done, but other times they don't do that. Like they make Deadshot into a completely different person when they go to different Earths. So it's
Exactly.
all over the place. It's very like same thing with Cisco's brother. I understand in a sense, but you can get. That's why I'm glad Keaton understands it. So I don't think there's much difference in terms of one Earth to another. Might be one like Barry might be evil, is what we're kind of hinting at. But I think that's like I said, Keaton's not gonna give away anything. All he's gonna do is talk a little bit and then say, "I'm Batman," and everyone's gonna be like,
Exactly.
"Oh my god!" So
Exactly. He knows what he's doing as far as the character that he plays, because that is just somebody that he ate up the limelight when he was Batman, and he realized how much everybody else ate it up when
in
he was
his
in the
defense
limelight.
too, though, he walked away from the highest paycheck he probably would ever get until this point because he didn't like the script and thought the movie was bad. So I will give him credit because a lot of other actors would just do the role to take the check. So
Well, there that was that whole comment of like he did, he didn't do
forever.
Batman Forever because he was just like,
He read the script. He thought it was
yeah,
terrible,
yeah,
and he heard what the executives wanted. It like was more for about toys than it was about.
yeah. So he walked away.
Yeah,
But with him getting back into this film, he felt, wow, like I can really do this again. Chris says, I'm just looking forward to the multiverse actually happening with real acknowledgement. It'll be really, really fun to acknowledge it, to see what happens in it, but more importantly, what this means for DC overall.
Mhm.
Now, does this mean that there's actually going to be structure after this? Are they still going to make it complete chaos or what? I would really like to see how they structure their movies, TVs, and everything else after this. Not saying that they have to do exactly what Marvel is doing, but just saying, hey, let's see what happens. On the Graham also says so much pressure on this Flash movie to course correct their main
there are
so
many
many
unforced errors.
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like
Nothing on them. Yeah,
we can assume that, hey, they're going to use Flashpoint to correct those errors, or we can assume also, hey, Flashpoint is really going to streamline certain movies. It could really do both. Who knows? And I think that's the most fun about it, because we've never really had so much lining up for a movie like this. So when it comes to DC,
yeah.
So it really is exciting to talk about. But before we jump into anything else, let's
I
go
was going
ahead
just
and
about
take.
to shut you down that time. I was going to.
Hey, we're on the same wavelength there. Let's go ahead and take our first ad break, and we will jump into the Superman and Lois review for season 1. Ready? And go. And we are back. Whew. All right. So, Superman and Lois, season 1, 13 episodes.
Mm-mm.
No.
15.
15. Sorry. 15 episodes. Me and Abby watched it almost every single week. You binge watched 12 episodes over the weekend. So it's probably going to be a little bit more fresh on you. But overall, it's not a hard story to follow, to be completely honest. I think this was a very safe season 1. That is probably my most radical thought, probably. Oh, well, no, there's still one that I still need to get to. But overall, it's a good show. I really enjoy it. The tone is really like a easy medium. It's not too dark, which everybody apparently hates, and it's yes, it has CW writing. It can be a little silly at times. It can be cheesy, but the cheesiness comes with the fact that these are two parents taking care of kids, and they definitely show their age in some of these episodes, which I enjoy. I can really relate to, which is crazy to say, not as a parent, but like as somebody who is older. They're making references that these kids are like, wait, what? And I'm just like, oh god, I don't even have kids, and I understood that reference. That sucks. But we have, and this is all spoilers, by the way. So for anybody who hasn't seen season 1 of Superman and Lois, go check it out and then come back and listen to this review. So, hitting you with the hardest spoiler here, Morgan Edge. They turned that character into something that I was not expecting. And I don't know if I like it. They turned him Kryptonian. And not only did they make him Kryptonian, they made him Superman's brother. And then to flip the script and be like, oh, he's no longer Superman's brother, he turns into the Eradicator. So, how do you feel about that?
I kind of might have been in your camp a little bit, Clay. I will just on the game said in the chat. I wish that they did 13 episodes instead of 15, like Stargirl. A little more streamlined, and production value would have been slightly increased with 2 fewer episodes. That's true, but the ad revenue that they got for those 2 episodes might have. It's really weird with the CW. I'm for the 13 episode seasons on the game. That's what I'd rather. But I don't think there was much that you could eliminate here. There wasn't much filler. Anything was like the backstory for the kids. But yeah, and Clay's topic, Clay's thought there about Superman's brother, we'll say, Morgan Edge. It's okay for me. Like I thought the character was okay in Smallville as Morgan Edge. I I just he's like a poor man's Lex Luthor, or even poor man's Lionel Luthor to me. Like he's not even nearly the tier of villain. So changing him here, I thought was good because it gave overall one of the overall arching storylines was nature versus nurture. Like where you're growing up, does that play a role? Like who raises you, your surroundings, does that play a role in who you become? It clearly does with the two brothers here. Not to mention the bad Kryptonian father that Superman's brother had compared to him, but his own parents, like the people that when Superman landed, they took care of him, whereas the people with Morgan Edge, they chased him and like shot at him and thought he was a monster. So it is very easy to see how one can fall in love with the planet and one can't. But I thought that was a good thing, especially about it. I honestly thought Morgan Edge was going to just took over from with that same kryptonite. That's what I assumed, that he was just mining it, and I was waiting for that like
That
flashback
reveal,
episode
yeah.
of him just hammering and getting to come into him. But no, it was okay for me. Like I said, there was a couple weak points that didn't work for you. The one thing that didn't work for me was the Lois Lois and John Henry Irons' love story from the other Earth too.
They acknowledge it, but then they make it really awkward and they don't really talk about it, and it's like not really a thing, but you definitely see that it's going to be a thing
Yeah.
next season. That's the biggest part, and I think that they're going to play with that. And I really hope, God, please change Steele's costume. Change
Yes.
that spacesuit Halo looking
Halo.
Doom character.
I gotta ask, where's Brent too? Brent, you've watched this entire show. You have snarky ass comments about the Power Rangers flash suit, which is rightfully so because it does look ridiculous at times. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying the comments are snarky and very funny. I have seen or heard nothing from him about this suit. Me and Brent really laughed a lot at the Diggle uh, Magneto helmet when that was revealed in CW. So I'm really surprised that we heard nothing from Brent about this Halo looking costume.
I
Or if
will
we
say
did, Brent, and
there's
I
a
missed it, it's a
there's a
possibility.
lot of things positive to say about this show than to just hang on the negative.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now, the whole thing with Morgan Edge, though, I do want to acknowledge the fact that it is very like this is where like the CW writing comes in. We saw in the very beginning of this season, Jordan and John were not, getting along very well. They were always button heads, and then eventually, family is family. Vin Diesel comes in and says, "Hey, you need to love each other." And like, okay, we love each other. Like, I understand all that, but I know for a fact, next season they're gonna throw in this whole thing about how like I thought it was going to be said here, but I know it's an undertone that they're going to use in season 2. Like, oh, how could Superman understand his two sons? They don't he's never had a brother before, and then boom, he magically has a brother. I rolled my eyes so fast when when the reveal came that Morgan Edge was his brother. Oh my god, I thought my eyes were going to fall in the back of my head. It
No, they
was
haven't used that yet. No, you got to give
yet.
them. You got if they don't use that, this criticism is unvalid, listeners. I just want to make that known because if it is happening, I'm on board with you, Clay. I'm on board with that. Shouldn't Superman has learned nothing from having a brother? Literally nothing. If you see Bruce Wayne come across and he says, "I learned a lot from Bruce Wayne, like a brother to me," I believe that more than telling me this
No,
person that
I
he didn't
bet
know ever was. Yeah.
I'm telling you, season 2, something's gonna happen. John and Jordan are gonna clash in some way, and Clark is gonna say, "Hey, blah 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 blah," and talk about how like brothers shouldn't fight. Look what happened to me and Morgan Edge, and it's like, no, that's bullshit because he was just a villain trying to take over Smallville, which is stupid. I'm sorry. His whole idea was taking over Earth, making a new Krypton, basically being the Zod, even though Zod make a short appearance through Superman, which I thought was dumb also.
Yeah, I'm on board with that part. Yeah.
But like fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Like Morgan Edge was like, I need to take over people. He like all of those plans got taken care of, and he was like, fuck, I can't do anything else. Oh wait, I can become the Eradicator and then take over more people. And it's just like,
No, no, they upped it a little bit where he went and experienced all that from the sun, and then he could take over. He could give people powers that didn't just live in Smallville. So they did escalate it a little tiny bit. It's what you said earlier, Clay. They kind of played it safe in a sense, but I want to commend them a little bit. Don't want to crap all over everything because a lot of the family stuff it hit hard for me and it really worked a lot whether it be the brothers, whether it be Lois and Jonathan being like we're the only two not superpowered, like there those moments, those how everything was hitting the brothers, just their relationship, how they stick up for each other and stick for each other regardless is something like very nice to see. They don't turn on each other. They're not fighting for a girl, anything like that. And there's a couple characters
they
that
kind of played around with the idea that John was kind of flirting with what's her name, Lana's daughter. And I was just like, please don't make this a weird love triangle thing. That's going to be awkward. They got rid of that very quickly with this new introduction of like the popular girl in the high school.
I actually came around to enjoying her character too, her opening up to Jonathan, and actually like you could tell what she was after first, and then later, but
Which was weird. I understand like it's small town drama. You live on an island. I'm sure you can kind of talk about small town drama. I
Clay,
used
there was a fun fact, listeners. There was a sperm whale that floated up onto the shore inside out, and people thought it was a sea monster. And actually, in like the local news crew came down and everything until 2 days later, marine biologists got the results back and said it was a sperm whale that was inside out. So yeah,
that's
so that's how
awesome.
easily, and that spread to all the towns, and like a local news outlet came out to tell the story and everything, and
That is
they were
great.
giving boat rides up to the sea monster.
That
There's
is
actually
awesome.
video of me walking on top of the whole, like walking up on top of the whole sperm whale, like up and down.
That's
And
gross.
yeah, I didn't know what it was or anything, right? I just walked on it, as a kid. But yeah, that's how easy things spread. So you're not right there.
Well, like for me, I grew up in very small towns and like they people want to start drama all the freaking time. That's just how things go. And so like I can't remember her name, but she kind of goes to John to be like, "Hey, I we all know your grandpa is a part of the army and, you know,
DOD, he runs
DOD
DOD.
army whatever." Uh and they're like, "Hey, why are they still in town?" And it's just like, "Okay, we kind of have to like I understand that the small town, Smallville drama is a big part of this whole thing because, you know, there's the side story of Lois now being a part of the Smallville. What's
Gazette.
the Gazette? Yeah, I was going to say Gazette, but I wasn't really sure. So she's being part of the Gazette and now going to be a permanent partner with that whole thing. That's very fun.
I love how you can't remember her name, and trust me, I can't either. Her partner, the girl, I thought she was going to die multiple times while investigating this story.
Like
I was like,
I
she
I
doesn't have a
don't
chance since
I
she
don't want to
survived
say
every
she's
time.
I don't want to say she's a forgettable character, but she very well plays a character that like wants to be big but isn't big. You know, that's just like I want to do better and it's just like I can't do better and it's like, "Oh my gosh, we're going to do this. Oh my gosh, we can't do this." It's very wishy-washy on her character, and I think that her being like permanent partners with Lois Lane, she is going to have better character development in upcoming seasons, which I really do hope for. Um but overall it like I said, it's a good show. There's a lot of, you know, things to unpack with John Henry, the whole idea of him like stealing Lex Luthor's identity to begin with and then like technically just stealing his equipment from his earth. And they played it as though his daughter was dead. Like there was
I never thought that ever, Clay, because how would he ever know? That's what I never thought that she was dead. I just thought he said he left her behind. I just maybe he thought she was dead, but
that's more so like,
yeah.
hey, because of everything that was going down on his earth, there's no way she
But
like and
when you think about it, he goes and shuts the airlock in this super secret place that they've been at that nobody knows about, and he leaves there. Unless Superman literally destroys the planet, she's gonna be safe there for quite some time. But something tells me you had to like let it out so Superman couldn't find you anyway. So I just
yeah.
thought that line of thinking was a little ridiculous, but we do get her to come back. I want to touch on a couple things because before the relationship with Clark and his sons, love that the relationship with Lois's father. I thought he was great. He was way he needed to be when he needed to be. His relationship with like it all worked for me. I thought he was great. The struggles with apparently like having a fail safe for Superman. Uh, I ultimately kind of saw what you should have it. And I love how ultimately Superman finds that exact same reasoning. I really enjoyed that. The action was good as well, which was surprising. I thought, CW, I'm very wary. And I'm just going to say it, listeners. This is the best season of the CW TV shows since season 5 of Arrow. This is the
I can agree with
best
that.
season, and I really love season 8 of Arrow too. But It's only 10 episodes, and it's a lot of it is geared towards Crisis. So I gotta say, this is like, it goes Arrow season 5, Arrow season 2, and Flash season 1, and Superman and Lois season 1 is probably under those. But it's like a very, very, very great, solid first
Now,
season.
I will say the elephant in the room when it comes to the CW shows and the connections. Chris actually says here the showrunners has more connections to the Arrowverse. Say that the connections to the Arrowverse will be coming in season 2. The elephant in the room is the fact that it is technically connected to the Arrowverse. This is very Kryptonian heavy, and there's no mention whatsoever of Supergirl.
I have a couple problems with this, Clay. Uh, I think that Diggle shouldn't have been anywhere near this season. Like, I don't think
He didn't do anything.
Not only about that, I'm fairly confident he's going to be heavily featured in the cloud crossover for Flash, because we're already thrown out him into every show unless he's going to be featured. But I feel like he only caused more problems, because after Diggle shows up, and then you get a whole crap load of Kryptonians like tearing up Metropolis and causing big ruckus, and then Johnson's talking to this girl in Smallville that was from Central City. You're like, okay, well, with Barry, where's Barry to? Was like, where's Barry? How come he's not helping? Where's Kara in National City? How come she's not
It's
helping?
very hard because like the CW has made this very large, now connected universe, right? Be that due to Crisis, you have to play it just kind of how you would in comics. Like the same, like there's not always a Justice Leaguer when Superman is around doing like a large, like Earth-ending event. It's not always going to happen. There may be some mention of it somewhere else of like, oh, the Justice League is busy doing this, or the Flash is busy doing that. Like they can kind of do that, but I think it would be a waste of time. My problem is with Diggle. He comes in, and the big thing for his interactions with each season was the fact that he was supposed to be like encouraging other heroes. Basically, like with Batwoman, he encouraged Luke Fox to become Batwing. Basically, we know that is confirmed for season 2 or season 3. Sorry, and for this, I was like, okay, he's gonna be talking to John Henry. He's gonna become Steel. And yes, you can kind of say that, but literally, if you take Diggle out of the scenario, he would have still become Steel because of everything that he had gone through with Clark, with Superman, and his own technically wife, Lois. Like,
well, you could have just got well, I don't know. General Lane could have easily just got that device sent to him, like mailed to him. You didn't need Diggle. Like, Diggle was just, and it just, like I said, it caused more problems. How come if Diggle's showing up, how come the other heroes aren't showing up? And Diggle gets on and talks to Sam Lane about finding green boxes and that. When did he find that out? How does he know what you're talking about there? It was just it caused more problems, because, like you said, even Flash and Arrow did in a second season, because they held each other help with the season finales of season 1, or well, penultimate episode in Flash, where Arrow helps Flash take down Arrow and Arrow and Firestorm help Flash take down Reverse Flash, and Flash saves
I
everyone.
watched that clip again for like the first time, and like I want to say since that aired.
It was so good.
It's so good. I think I need to go back to season 1 and 2 of
Nanites,
Flash.
courtesy of Ray Palmer. I just every time I hear nanites, like I was watching a thing the other day about they're repairing teeth and using nanites, and all I could hear when I heard nanites, all I heard was courtesy of Ray Palmer. That's all I could hear.
But I think overall it's a good show. It does have its I do have my nitpicks with it. Like I said,
One more nitpick: they play loose and hard with kryptonite, the regular green kryptonite.
So
how it affects
that was
Superman, like it's very loose and hard.
I will say this: if you want to hear a lot of my nitpicks, go to my TikTok. I talked about it a lot. There's a lot of gatekeeping with this show about how like Tyler is the best Superman ever created.
He's really good though. I really enjoy him.
He plays a great Superman. Yeah. I love the flashback episode
Oh my
where
god, that was one of my favorite episodes of the
it
season.
showed like how he was really dealing with, becoming Superman on his own. There's a little bit of a if you go to your local comic shop and purchase Superman versus the Klan, or Superman smashes the Klan, the very first villain that he is facing off is actually the exact same villain that he made his debut in this show. So
Okay.
the one with like the grenades or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
the Nazi guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed all of those callbacks. It was really really fun. Again, this show is the best of every reiteration of Superman. It has a little bit of that feeling of Smallville because we are staying in Smallville for the majority of this show. It has its homages to Man of Steel. It has the cheesiness of Batman, Superman 78. Like it has everything here. And I think people need to understand that without everything else, there is no Superman and Lois. And again, great show. I'm really looking forward to season 2. What I need there to be no helmet on Steel, or not no helmet. I need there to be a thinner, like more facial helmet for Steel. I need him to put the S on his chest, and I need there to be a red cape. I'm sorry. I need the Steel look. I really want it. The reason why the only live action Steel that I have is Shaq, and that needs to change, like right now.
Don't hate on Shaq, man.
Uh,
He was just trying. He was just
have you
trying.
seen that movie?
Not in a long time.
Exactly. I've
Yeah.
seen it recently, as
Oh god.
recently as like
What did
like
Joe make you want to watch that
no
for
no no no.
rental
It's like,
reviews too?
oh my gosh. I think I may jump on that actually.
Oh my god.
But in the past like 5 years, I watched it.
I
But
just gotta say one other thing. Bitsy Tulloch is probably my favorite iteration of Lois Lane. Uh, Between her and Erica Durance
oh,
from
and
Smallville, I love her. She's
all
fantastic
of
in every
you,
scene.
all of you, including my wife, need to leave that woman alone. People are judging her looks, saying that she's ugly and all of these different things. And like, oh, is she really an actress? She's not really getting it. And like all of these other like judging her performance, she did a great job.
She
I
was
really
fantastic.
enjoyed her Lois. I'm not gonna say she's my favorite Lois. That'll always be Erica Durance. Sorry. That's just like
Well,
my high school
you seen
crush.
the caveat I had there because I loved her too.
Exactly.
Like Clay.
So everybody else, like y'all need to chill when it comes to degrading her as an actress. Not cool. I will say the actor that plays Jordan, not John, Jordan. Chris says, "Well, I had not heard anything like that." Yeah, it's all over. It's all over the place. On my
All right.
Instagram, on my Twitter, on my TikTok. I hear it from Abby from time to time when we watch the show, and I'm just like, leave her alone. But the dude that plays Jordan, I think he's just an overall awkward kid. Now, of course, I think in real life he's like 22, 23, but like he definitely plays the awkward kid very, very well.
Yeah.
Um, I
And I thought
hope that
Jonathan played the other guy really well as well.
yeah, he plays the jock very well. Um, I still think that John is gonna get powers, if not just for one season, he'll get them full time or whatever. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, Clay. I can't wait for season 2. All we got was that more tease about Lois John stuff that I didn't like in the beginning, but I can't wait for the villain, and I'm interested to see the Arrowverse connections too. I don't know if that'll make me watch like Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know if I'm suffering through another season of Gary, but I think that wraps up our review. So we're going to do the draw for the Superman.
Well, no. Oh, well, for Superman, yeah, we'll do the draw real quick, then we'll take a break, and then we
Yeah,
will do Stargirl. So, we have a total of, I believe, 5 reviews.
reviews, and I will do the
Uh,
random number generator right now from 1 to 5. All the names are written down here. It's your post names that you post it with. We will read that now. You give us a chance, contact us, and we'll get your address and send it out to you after you pick from one of the 3 books. So I'm going to go with the number generator right now.
Who do we got? Who do we got?
We have number 2,
Which is
Charlie Randall.
Charlie Randall.
So Charlie Randall, get to us at DM.
You will have a
Clay.
choice. Yeah, you will have a choice between Superman the Truth.
Before Truth, Volume 1.
Yes, Before Truth. Sorry. Part of the New 52 run.
Yeah.
The second one is Superman, The Final Days of Superman, which is the ending of that New 52 run, going right into Rebirth. And then the last is Superman Reborn, which is actually a really fun story. A little clunky, but it does do some really interesting things for the character for as a whole when it comes to like continuity wise and everything else with like pre-52, New 52, and Rebirth all together. Really, really fun stuff. So Charlie, get to either one of us, or you can DM the DC Alliance Twitter account and we can get your information so we can send one of those books out.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take our last ad break, and then we will get on to the Stargirl episode 2 or season 2 episode 2 review,
or
and
the player hater ball that's coming up.
We will be right back. And we are back. So season 2 episode 2, let's actually see here. I don't remember the title card for this one.
I'm gonna guess Jade. No,
is
summer school is super summer school thing that they've been doing all season.
Yeah,
it's like chapter whatever.
So
chapter 2.
Let's jump right into this. We talked about it like a little before we started recording. This did not move the needle for me on this season. I had a lot of nitpicks for the first episode. There was some cool stuff that happened in that first episode. This, I want to see where Courtney is as a hero. And I understand that like the very first season or the very first episode was all about her. Like, I need to be Stargirl. I need to be Stargirl. I need to be Stargirl. No matter what, I don't care about school. I don't care about life. I need to live, breathe, eat, shit, sleep, Stargirl. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, girl.
That's spilling over to this season too.
Like, yikes. And it does spill a little bit over into this episode. But then this whole meeting with Jade, she's like, can we trust her? Is she really a hero? Is she really Green Lantern's daughter? What is wrong with everybody? Why is everybody so trustworthy?
Clay, she walked around last season with a giant bag filled with all the JSA things, and she was basically handing it out to anybody at the
hey, do you want to be a part of the JSA?
Kid table.
Hey. It's just like, and they talked about it. They said, you were so trustworthy with all of these random people that you did not know just a couple months ago. And so this one person comes around that is actually able to use the Green Lantern. And now you think everybody is suspicious and everybody's a villain? Like, what is all that about?
Oh, and you know what it's about. The most terrible reason. That's how bad it got me all frustrated. The most terrible reason, Clay, because Jade is the daughter of an actual superhero.
Oh my God! This whole thing again.
Is not because she's
a real daughter of a hero, not like me. I'm like, get over yourself, Jesus Christ!
I just don't understand because Wildcat is not the daughter of anybody. What the glasses girl, I'm forgetting her name, Owl Man, Owl Girl now. She is not the son or daughter of any superheroes. So how come you're the one getting like this? Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry. Daddy issues be damned. You're freaking Stargirl. And you were all happy about being Stargirl. Now you're mad that you're Stargirl because it's not really like you're like freaking like It's not your heirloom. It's not passing down the torch from your dad. Like, who cares? You're
You got a
Stargirl.
freaking awesome dad. Pat is amazing. This is the stuff that gets rather annoying to me, especially when you look at like Wanda's parents who don't want to have anything to do with her, shunning her, won't even talk to her. And Rick doesn't have any parents, and Wanda's parents don't even acknowledge that she exists in this world.
Yeah.
And Courtney's like, "Oh my god, I have the worst. It sucks. My dad isn't a superhero. He's Pat, who's awesome. Sorry, like it's
No, and then it plays off of this whole thing with like Jay. So I don't I don't know how I feel about the Green Lantern power
I loved
in
it in the fight scene. The fight scene to start this episode was fantastic, and then it kind of like
so
petered
so
down from there.
it was using just blasts in the beginning of this episode, right? And then you get into this whole idea of, oh, it is based off your emotions. It's not necessarily how the Green Lantern works. I understand that you're interpreting it for the show. This is all teenager stuff. They're all in their feelings. I understand. Totally understand. They need to relate it to the story in some
Well,
way.
are you 100% sure the first Green Lantern, Alan Scott, his thing wasn't any different? Because I don't think he had the Guardians or anything like that. So maybe
His ring was magic based, and it wasn't until later on that they kind of played around with continuity and like changed things to make it more so like the Green Lanterns of Oa. So like maybe your emotions dealing with magic maybe would do something, but like is it like I think it's very convenient. Convenience the wrong word. I don't know what it is, but did you notice what the very first construct she made was?
the car that was in the little container that had her
Do
brother's
you
name.
remember the very first construct that Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern made?
Was it a car?
It was a car.
I can't remember that, but I still
It was the car like Hot Wheels track that he was able to like move the bomb or whatever in the movie.
okay. That was more of a race car,
It,
a
it was
Formula One car.
it was a Hot Wheel.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But like essentially, like I don't know if this is a Jeff Johns thing or whoever wrote this episode, but like, what is it with Green Lanterns and cars? Like,
Well, that was her from that. That was the easy thing
I
she
know,
could make. Yeah.
I know, but they had to have wrote it into the show. So it's like, okay, why couldn't you have her do something else? You know, why did it have to be a car? Because again, Rick, his connection to his family, his dad, is a car.
Well, that
Like,
I don't know. Like that's a toy car that her little brother had. I mean, I don't know the many other things that you could have that you could write your name on if you're a little kid like that. I know a lot of little kids that would play with Dinkies. That was the thing that they would do. So and write your names on them. So it does like fit for me in a sense, but
I know.
it's not
I think
okay.
it's very it for me. I'm seeing the trope of like, okay, Rick's family has the connection with the car. She has connection with this toy car. Pat, he's a big car guy. Like cars are everywhere, and I'm just like, okay, like when
If
is Vin Diesel showing up?
what about if the toy car, if like she gets mad one time and throws it, and when it smashes, there's an actual map or a little like note saying what adoption agency or orphanage he dropped her brother off in. If it's tied back in like that, would that work at all anymore for you? If it
No, I think it's just I think I'm just getting annoyed at the fact
okay,
that every connection is with a car, and I'm just like, okay, there needs to be better writing here. Like, there's other toys that are not cars. Like, do
yeah.
something.
Essentially, for me though, the fight with Jade and uh, Courtney, that was the best part of the episode for me. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was great. But besides that, like I said, Courtney's whole thing really went against what she did in the first season. And if you're telling me just because she found out that she wasn't Starman's daughter,
Yeah.
uh, made her change completely the way she was in terms of seeing the good in people and like making new friends. She turned it around. Like Rick did not want to hang out. Rick said no like 1,800 times, whereas this girl is all for it.
Yeah.
It's just it bewilders me sometimes how, but it's classic CW because how many times have I seen Oliver Queen take one step forward and learn a lesson, and then completely unlearn that lesson and take two steps back,
Well,
and then go on for the whole season completely forgetting the lesson they learned the previous. Sometimes it can get bad sometimes.
yeah, and talking about like what can be bad and what can be like completely pointless, the entire storyline of, oh shoot, what is her name? Her
Sydney
mother,
Bergman. Oh
her,
no, yeah,
the mother being like possessed by the
Eclipso.
by Eclipso's stone, and like how she's like, you need to kill her, and like all of that. It did nothing for the show. Like, of course, it's this
It did a
ominous.
little bit for me. It did a little
It,
bit for me. I'll
it's
talk about
this
it after you explain.
ominous, like, something's happening in the background. Like, that's the story that they're trying to tell, but they're also telling that exact same story with our new villain of this season, Shade.
Shade.
Now, Shade in the comics has been a part of both good and bad. He, I think, for the most part, in continuity. Now, I know continuity is very wild in the DC universe right now with everything going on with the Infinite Frontier. But the last time Shade appeared anywhere, he was a good guy. He was helping out Hawkman. So here he is a villain. I believe he started out as a villain of the JSA. Showing up here, it's very, very interesting. He did show up to, I think, Courtney's mom's office first. That's where we first saw him. And then Pat noticed him. And I knew right off the bat that Pat would recognize him. And he does. Now, I didn't like the ending of this episode. It was very like, because you saw the conversation between in the first episode and this episode also, Courtney is kind of bothering him with like, hey, what about this villain, or what about this villain? Like, hey, how can we, save the city or the town with against this villain? And like, of course, she's still trying to be Stargirl, and he's like, you know what? All these villains are taken care of. It's been years since any of them have shown up. Some of them are not even in our timeline anymore. A little callback to Flash, because we do know Flash is going to be showing up in this season. Um, he notices him in that last conversation with Courtney. Luke Wilson literally looks like he's about to cry. And I'm just like, what kind of conveyance is he trying to show here? Like, I understand that he is probably like exhausted, tired, confused, whatnot. But like, she's going off on this tangent, and he's just like, his facial expression is really weird through this whole interaction. And he's just like,
Nope.
well, there's another villain.
Disagree with you
And
entirely.
oh, no,
Yeah,
no.
Clay, you're missing. He doesn't want to tell her because she's just about to, she just says to him, I'm going to take a break as Stargirl. If I'm not going to be fully into it anymore. If there's a villain, yes, I'll suit up, but I'm going to focus on Courtney. And he knows it kills him. He wants to not tell her. He wants her to just live her life as Courtney, but he knows he has to tell her. And that's what I got. I 100% got that from what he was trying to convey there. And I'll go back to the Eclipso thing as well. I got from that little bit there, I got that Eclipso cannot be trusted. Eventually, he's going to betray Sydney. She thinks she's in full control right now, but she is
Sydney, that's her
not.
name. Yeah.
He is. She is not. He basically tried to get the mother to kill Sydney, eliminating her and letting him like run free. So he's already
So what
backstabbing
do you
her.
think there's going to be an inevitable like
She's dead.
Sydney
She's
team
going to
up?
die. I think she's going to die. I think she's going to lose control of her body. He's going to take control of her body, and I don't know if she'll ever get it back because you can hear it here. And then he kind of says like, "I'm with you, Sydney," at the end, like pretending like he wasn't the one that was talking to the mother, saying, "You need to kill her." So I really think that like both things made sense to me. Like Luke Wilson really conveyed to me anyway, he did not want to tell her. It was the last thing he wanted to do, but he knew he had to, and he's robbing
Yeah.
a bit of her because he spent the whole episode saying like you don't need to be Stargirl all the time. You need like this. You need to have balance in your life. Like you can't be just focusing on villains. And then he has to bring her in about like the worst villain that they faced. So I got both of those. I can understand like sometimes how like Luke Wilson sometimes when he's trying to convey emotion, sometimes it's looking like it does not look like the emotion he's trying to convey. I will agree that. But from the information from the episode, I kind of just gathered that he didn't want to tell her. He wanted her to have her own like relaxing time, and instead she's going to be facing that this villain, and he knows he needs her. So that's what I got out of it anyway. And the same thing with the Eclipso thing.
Yeah, and like I guess the last thing, we saw a little tease that like Grundy is now watching over Rick. Like we
Yeah.
see like a POV of somebody watching Rick. It could be somebody else.
Bullshit is no. I mean, if it is Grundy, it's total bullshit. Because how do you not hear that? Like how do
Well,
you not
he
see
heard, but he
that?
didn't
How do you not
see.
see that? How
Yeah,
did Grundy hide in those trees? Come on, Clay.
I don't know. It's again CW writing, but I think the biggest thing was like there was the whole thing with Jade not being able to control her emotions, and there is this giant explosion in a occupied town, and nobody got out of their like house, building, whatever establishment that they were in to be like, what was that? Like that thing, that it's a small little thing that bothered me, but like it plays on the fact that like, oh crap, she's dead. And then like you look up and she's like, hey guys, it looks like I can fly now. It's like,
I like that scene as well. So I there was stuff I didn't like, but I thought it was kind of cool. I loved how she even told them to get back, and they were like, "No, didn't." Sorry, Courtney. It lasted on me that you said no, we're not leaving. Okay, yeah, you were a complete ass the entire episode to her, but yeah. Anyway,
again,
I
it's
thought it
it's
was showed a
it's
lot
the
of her heart.
CW, it's the CW writing of like, oh, I completely understand now. You're family. You're one of us. You're the JSA. You're the Green Lantern's daughter. Like, we understand. Sometimes, unfortunately, these shows do try to talk down to us, and it's just really, really annoying. Um, this isn't moving the needle for me. I'm not saying that it can't get better. It's off to a rocky start. We are not going to be reviewing Titans this week. We're actually going to be. Or are we talking about Titans? We're just
Yeah,
not
we're
gonna.
not.
We're not going to be talking about the comics corner. So let's go ahead and jump into Titans season 3, episode 4. Travis, I don't know about you. Yeah, like Travis right now is giving me a big thumbs down. Guys, there's a lot of things wrong with this show. Um the idea of like, again, it doesn't, like, I don't think the Blackfire stuff is done, but
Oh, not even
like
close.
not even close, but like almost like putting a bow on it, kind of, for now, is kind of annoying.
Well, Blackfire did say that Starfire doesn't know the full picture. She thinks she knows, but she doesn't. So who knows? Maybe like she was banished, and like they have to team up to take back their planet. So they could have a twist on this stuff, Clay. So I want to reserve judgment until we get a few more episodes. But the pacing in this episode and just the it it,
Okay,
it
so
boggles my
this,
mind.
again, one of the biggest things, and I still call BS because Brent called it out. We all kind of had a small conversation about it earlier today. Um, or was it yesterday? It might have been yesterday, actually. The idea that Dick Grayson now does not give a fuck who knows that he is Nightwing, or that anybody in the Bat family is who they are. There was no confirmation in the first 3 episodes that Scarecrow knew who they were. There was none. I have gone back. There may have been alluding to, maybe, but still, if you are a superhero with a secret identity, you're not going to be like, oh, maybe he does know, so I'm just going to talk nonchalantly about it. Like, no, you act as though nobody knows who you are. And Dick just basically was like, hey, by the way, Bruce Wayne was Batman. He trained us all. And I'm like, what is going on with the show?
I will say, okay, um, Dick. I'll say their reasoning that I don't say it makes sense, but I'm going to give you what I got. Their reasoning was from watching this episode. Um, it's a bit of a stretch, in if you ask me, really. But what I got from it was Dick found out and discovered that the hit on Scarecrow was not a hit at all. Like it was
Saw that a
sloppy.
mile away, by
Yeah.
the way.
So he immediately he sees it a mile away as well. So he knows something's up. So he hijacks Scarecrow instead of letting him go to the transport and takes him to his own cabin. But when he's pulling out, he even says, "I know Red Hood was there to bail you out, to spring you out." So he knows at that point then that Jason is working with uh friggin' Scarecrow, and before he reveals anything else, uh I'm pretty sure he says something to him about like Jason comes to him broken, and then Dick goes all in after he hears, I want to say something along the lines of like that business in San Francisco or something like that, kind of alluding to Jason told him everything. And Dick immediately says that when he confronts Jason too and says, "You told him everything, everything."
Exactly. It doesn't matter. That is the biggest, like, it's so annoying because even like, again, I understand this isn't comics, but the way they always play it out in comics, if somebody accuses you of being a superhero, you don't just be like, shit, you got me.
Well, he didn't say that to
No,
anybody that accused him. Like Scarecrow didn't accuse, and Scarecrow knew. Scarecrow was told everything about him from another Bat family member. So it's kind of hard for Nightwing to deny to Scarecrow that he's actually Nightwing.
this kid is insane. You say,
Well,
hey, he's crazy, just like you. Y'all don't know shit. Like,
Clay,
again,
Clay, Clay. Let's be honest here. When Bruce Wayne, when you find out that he's Batman, the whole house of cards starts to fall apart of everything he has set up, and it all starts to make sense. How come everyone's like, "Oh my god, it finally makes sense now"? So I think that I'm not going to
I
crucify him for
still think
that.
it is the dumbest thing that this episode did, what the show has
Oh, there
done
was a
for the
few more
character.
dumb things
Oh
than
no,
that.
yes, yes. Don't get me wrong, there is. The second thing is this whole idea that like Beast Boy is the one connection that he had. Like he's the glue that's holding the team together, right? He's trying to make peace with Superboy and like, hey, I know that you just saw one of our best friends die, but cheer up, folks. And then like he's trying to do the same thing with Starfire, and like then he gets all mad. He's like, you put me in this trunk and blah blah blah. Like the way they write Beast Boy or Gar, whatever you want to call him, is so annoying. I like I understand the tone that they are going for. I understand what Titans is supposed to be. I just want a good show. That's all I want. And I'm not getting it. Um you can again clearly see that this is a COVID production. There's only two people on the screen at all times. It's really annoying. There is no interactions with the characters that I really want interactions with. They're not being a team. Like they should have learned everything. Like the past two seasons were for nothing because they are not learning anything. Dick Grayson is still trying to do everything on his own basically right now, and it's annoying. It genuinely is. So I think like the whole thing with him telling the story about him trying to survive in the woods, and then like the next thing you see is him freaking like the wolf's head in his hand with a bloody knife. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is like, I understand that Bruce is crazy and stuff in this like universe or whatever, but like the whole point of Nightwing as a character was supposed to make him a better person, to make this show a little bit lighter. I feel like, because that's who the Nightwing character is.
Yeah, but like I mean, come on now, there's no chance this kid's gonna survive being Robin unless he's doing these things. Like this, like I know it's not what you kind of want to see, but if we're trying to even paint it in a little bit realism, which is what they're trying to do in this show, you're gonna need to do that to survive, like being in a red, yellow, and green bright costume, so that people can basically shoot at him instead of Batman.
Yeah, I guess. And then like I guess the last thing for me was the one thing that Brent brought up in our chat cuz it's the one note that I had which was so stupid. So there's a line in here that after him and Scarecrow have the conversation about everything. He's like, "Well, now it's time to suit up." Right? He says something along those lines. And the next thing you see is you see Crane dressed like Grayson with his freaking jacket and everything, and he's using him as a decoy because he knows that Red Hood is coming. And then that's when he confronts them. There's a fight. The helicopters find him. They shoot him, and Red Hood is able to get away. And then freaking Dick runs into the cabin, sees that Scarecrow is not there, and he is distraught. Like he has such a confused face. Like, where is he? And
Dick
I'm
didn't
like,
use him in that plan, Clay. Dick didn't have a plan like that for seeing the person walk there. That was just, I assume that was Scarecrow. If it was
no.
not, that was terrible writing.
No, the way because I think the way the writing is getting away in the way of themselves because the way it played out from scenario to scenario was, hey, I'm gonna use you as bait. You're gonna pretend you're me, so that way I can find Red Hood when he's coming around. And that's exactly what it played out to be. And then when he runs inside the cabin, he's gone, you know? So
Yeah, it's a lot of sloppy writing. Like he's basically just send Don off, and we don't get any like her dealing with what just happened. So I thought that was kind of weak as well. The action is nice, but like you said, the writing got to get a lot better. If because I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. Because now thinking about it, I think you're right. Like I think they set it up so that it looks like Dick uses Scarecrow to be this like human target, and that Red Hood just mistakes it until it's too late, and then Dick gets to jump on him. But then, like you said, Dick goes back into the cabin, and he's like, "Oh my god, how would he get away? How would he get untied?" So he does give that face. So I don't know if the writers, two different people writing that script or what, but that's yeah, that Titans. I hope next episode is better. A lot of people say see episode 5 is really good. So fingers crossed, listeners. We got a jet, Clay. We got to get out of here to give the ship up for Marvel Alliance here.
yes. So of course everybody knows where we can be found on Twitter. Um oh shoot, who was the winner for Superman before we have to get kicked off?
Charlie Randall.
Charlie, please get back to us. We want to go ahead and ship you one of those books of your choosing. We will be talking about Titans, Teen Titans Earth 1 Volume 1 next week. We were just with a lot of scheduling stuff got in the way today. No comics corner, but we will be sure to see you guys next week when we talk all about that.
Later, everyone.